Hello, and welcome back to the Marketing for Speakers podcast. Today, we are doing something different. One thing that's important to me is not only to give you insights into your business, tips and strategies, but also to help educate you on the technical side of your business. And that's one of the unique things about Marketing for Speakers and our agency is that we don't just want to create great marketing assets for you. We want to empower you to own your business and to be in control. So some of these things means teaching you how to use your website, how to use social media, not just, building things for you, but consulting you on how to make the most of it. So today is right on point. We are going to talk about SEO, search engine optimization, and I'm actually going to give you some strategies that you can use right now to boost your SEO. So let's jump right in. Welcome to this episode of the Marketing for Speakers podcast. All right, so let's talk SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And if you're brand new to this, just a quick overview, this is how search engines find your website and your content. So anything that's written on the web or even tagged, if it has text elements to it, search engines can find it easily. The rough news is that you're competing with billions of other pieces of content. But that's why SEO is so important. And I'm a big believer in outbound marketing. I don't think that when if you build it, they will come. I don't believe any successful person would say, oh yeah, that's how it works. They say you've got to put in the work, you've got to study, you've got to do the time, the energy to build something and then bring it to the masses. But the best feeling is when you don't have to do that. And so some of the work you do up front on SEO will yield results from years to come because you get those moments where somebody contacts you out of the blue and you ask them, oh, how did you find me? And they say, I found you on Google. And it's an amazing feeling. You feel like you got this free client that you didn't have to do any marketing for. But the truth is, you just did the marketing on the front end. And that's what search engine optimization is. It's doing that marketing on the front end and getting in front of your clients with the search engines that they use. Now, one thing that I'll note is that, Google does take up a majority of the share when it comes to search engines, but Bing is at about 25% of searches right now. But there's also Yahoo. And then some things you might not know is other sites like Facebook and LinkedIn. They're also search engines because they're a way that people can find you and get to know your business and your offerings. So all the stuff that we're going to talk about, it goes throughout the web. Any place that you put content on, this is a way that people can find you and it's going to show up in search results one way or another. So let's dive right in. We're going to go over the 7 simple things that every entrepreneur can do to boost their SEO. And I emphasized simple here because I'm not going to make you an SEO expert in a few minutes. In fact, you already have an expertise, you have a niche. So I believe that you should stay in your lane. Be great at what you're great at. Be great at what you're selling and how you're gifting the world. You don't have to be amazing at everything. In fact, if you are amazing at everything, I would argue you're probably actually not that good. And so let's jump right into the content. Here are 7 things you can implement today, tomorrow, if you want to. Let's start with this quick lesson. Every word counts. And what I mean by that is when you look at SEO, so imagine you're typing something into Google. Google is going to scan different parts of websites and blogs, posts, videos, and they're going to look for different things. They're going to look for titles. They're going to look for content in your paragraph, and they're going to actually look at metadata. And this is actually how you name a file. For example, if you created a video and then you named it, for example, mine, Jake's video number 2, then I upload that to YouTube, that tells no one what the video is about. Instead, I want to upload this video. I want to title it in my, the file that I save. I want to do SEO for speakers .mp4. And then when I upload it to YouTube, those words are going to count as my SEO. That's meta. Then you have the paragraphs. So for example, when I'm writing a blog, the paragraph content that I'm writing out, maybe that 500 words or 2,000 words, using different words that I want, what I think people are going to search for, I'm going to use those words in my paragraphs. And finally, titles. Titles are really important. Not only the titles that you like, what you call your blog post, that's extremely important, but also, you know how in Microsoft Word, you can set something up when you highlight that word and then you can click, I want this to be a paragraph style, or I want it to be heading 1 or heading 2 or heading 3. Search engines really, really like that because it shows it's something that's important. So these are 3 things when you think about the words that you're using. These are all opportunities for search engines to find your content. So the simple thing I want you to take away from this is to think carefully about the words that you use and to make sure you use words that count when you're titling your photos and your videos that you upload to your website, because those matter. Next, let's talk a little bit about keyword research. And I know this might seem a little bit scary. If this is above what you're willing to do, make sure you work with somebody who does SEO or let me know so that we can help you out with it. But basically, keywords is a fancy way of saying, what are the words people are searching for? We want to know what those words are and then what those common phrases are. And you don't have to guess. Oftentimes, your guesses are fairly wrong. And actually, I shouldn't say me. My guesses are fairly wrong. And that's why we need these tools. And so one tool I want to highlight is the Google Keyword Planner. You can check this out and you can research what people are actually searching for. You can see the volume, how many thousands or millions of people are searching for this. You can see the competition as far as how many people are using these keywords on their content or even paying for Google Ads. So it'll show you the competition rate and how much people are paying for those Google words if they're buying ads. And then finally, I want you to think about why I wrote intent. When you're doing your research and maybe you want to write a blog about something in your expertise, maybe you're a health coach and you want to talk about, eating your vegetables, is you're going to want to look at what people are searching into Google, top 7 healthy vegetables or healthy vegetables in the microwave. I don't know. So you might want to use those keywords, go to the Google Keyword Planner, and then Google those specific words, and it'll show you the variances that people are searching for, how much, the volume that people are searching for that, and then also the competition. And so you can pick one. Maybe there's one that's getting, 30,000 searches a month, but there's not a lot of competition. So that would be a good one for you to say, I'm going to make sure to use that keyword or keyword phrase in my article. I'm going to use it in my titles, and then I'm going to use it, in my metadata on how I might label a photo or something like that. Just make sure it's relevant. So that is number 2. The third thing you can do is you can blog. Now, I know some of you might have a pushback on this saying, I don't have time to write a blog, or I'm not a writer. I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, a consultant. I don't want to be spending my time writing, but here's the reality of it is there's different ways to do it. We'll talk about the SEO perspective of it, and then I'll dive into some creative ways you can do it, even if you don't like to. First is that when a search engine sees that you have a blog, they love it because it gives fresh and consistent content. So it shows like, hey, this site just pushed out a new blog a week ago. If they're creating content in the last 7 days, they're probably pretty relevant. So I'm going to push that up to the top. The other thing is that, yes, it has to be consistent. If the post is not from 2 years ago, or it's from 2 years ago, then you're not actually going to be that impressive to the search engines. They might put you a little bit lower. It shows the engagement on your website will increase. So if you think about your website as if someone's, walking into a store, if they see a lot of things to check out, they'll probably spend longer in the store. But if you can see everything in, maybe one wall, then you can just walk in. It's oftentimes like a garage sale. You can drive past a garage sale, and just that 5 seconds of driving past, you see whether you want to stop and check it out or not. So you probably only spent 5 seconds, quote, in the store. So that engagement, it helps people stay on longer. And that tells your search engines that your site is more valuable So they're going to rank you farther up on the list so that more people can find you. Finally, the link opportunities. Something we're going to talk about a little bit farther in this episode is linking is important. The more people that are featuring your website or your job posts, it shows these search engines that you're more valuable because other people are validating for you. It's kind of like when you say, hey, I'm great at my job. People are they're like, of course you think you're great at your job. That's why you're doing it. But if you think about it, 5, 6, 10 other people say that you're great, that has some real weight to it. And so you'll start to trust that person. And search engines are no different. If other people are saying, hey, this is a good resource, I'm going to link to it, that's other people validating for you and saying you're really, really good. So blogging gives you a lot of opportunities to do this. And even if you just getting your own blog, you can link to your own posts. And search engines love that too. So this is a great, great rule of thumb for SEO is if you have the time, if you have the expertise, especially if you can leverage your blog posts into other products like books and courses, then it's a no-brainer. You want to do this. For myself, I started my website in college. By the time I graduated, I already had 4,000 visitors a month to my blog before I even knew what I was doing with my business. And so it was an easier pivot to not only get my information out there and my services out there, but also rank really well when I started doing that. So it's a big, big opportunity for you. Here's just some quick things you can do is if you don't love writing, you can absolutely record a video and then pay someone to transcribe it and put it into a blog post. Another thing you could do is if you're recording like this on sound for a podcast, you can absolutely use this opportunity to create multiple pieces of content. You could go live on your favorite social media site, talk for a little bit, and then pull out the good content there or pay someone to do that. These are great ways to use blogging. What's going to happen is the more you blog, the more great content and the more time people spend on your site. These sites like Google and Bing and Yahoo are going to say, this is really good. They have a ton of information. It's being visited quite a bit. We need to send more people here, and you're going to be higher in those rankings. The next tip is no dead things. This sounds a little creepy. It's getting towards Halloween, but this is what I mean by it. No dead things means we don't want any empty or dead pages, posts, or links. If people are trying to go to a site, maybe you publish something and then people are linking to your website, but then when they click on the link, it comes up with an error message saying that, this page no longer exists. That's going to count against you for SEO. People are going to say, no, listen, they're not even doing stuff anymore. These links are dead or these posts are gone. These pages don't exist anymore. And another thing just to mention on this one is that if you have a bunch of web pages, let's say you set up a landing page for an event. If you're a speaker and you say, hey, I'm going to speak at this association, I'm going to create a landing page for them. And then I'm going to put my video, my sales content, and then, the button to buy my product or to join my email list. And then I'm going to leave that up. So you do the event, people go and they visit it, and then it sits there. So it sits there dormant. It does nothing. And maybe it's there for a year. Everything's being tracked. So it's going to look like that page is terrible. Like it has no content that's worth going to because you did the event from stage. You told people about it. They went and now it's doing nothing. So instead of, having that page up there, what you should do is you should get rid of those pages that aren't being used anymore. Keep your site simple. And then if you have to create a page, one thing that you can do is you can create that page for your event. Make sure you aren't getting a lot of people to link to it because you're going to take it down eventually. So don't be posting it on all these resources. You just want to tell people at your event, maybe you give them something in your PowerPoint, you give them a card, you could email it to them. They can go to that site. And then from that point, you use it for a month and then you close it out. you close the deal, and you've got those customers now in your CRM or your spreadsheet, whatever you're using to keep track of your business. But make sure you don't have a bunch of dead pages on your site. It's going to look really bad. Next is we want to go fast. You know it. We live in a fast-paced society. And so the simple thing that you can do is just make sure that your website is speedy, that it's optimized to move quickly. One thing that happens in your rankings that if your website is really slow, Google is just going to rank you lower. All the sites are. One thing you can do is, work with a professional to optimize your site, to get it fast. And there's different packages that you can do in order to achieve this. And basically what it does though is it creates a better user experience. Search engines care about this. If people have a bad time on your site or they're waiting, not only are they going to leave, but they're going to be frustrated. And these sites know it, so they're going to rank you lower. So having simple websites is great with not a bunch of code and crazy content that's going to slow it down, like videos posted on it that take a long time to load. You're going to want to host your videos on another platform like Vimeo or YouTube, and then link those with some sort of plugin or something like that, so that the work is being done outside of your website. It doesn't slow it down. So that's something that you can do, is just make sure that your website is optimized for speed. Another thing, I'm sure you've seen this on people's websites, but you want to secure your site. And this is called an SSL certificate. It's very simple and easy to do. If you've ever been to a website and in the top left corner where they have, jakespeaks.com, and then it shows a lock, but it's unlocked. It says the site is not secure. You'll notice before it says HTTP. Now, the only difference is they add a letter, so HTTPS, and if the lock is closed, that means the site is secure. So there's less risk of someone taking your information from that site. So that's a very, very easy thing you can do. Check out your website, see if it's HTTP or HTTPS when you log on. If it is unsecure, just go ahead and get that SSL certificate. You can Google how to do this fairly easily. If you're just like, I just don't want the hassle, it is so cheap to go on Fiverr, Upwork, and get somebody to do this for you for 10, 15 bucks. And some of your hosting sites will do this for you, but it's usually pretty expensive. I know Bluehost, if you have your site on there, they do it for free. They have a bunch of free add-ons where other people will charge you for. I tend to use them quite a bit because they don't add those extra fees, but you can just log on there and add it to any site that you own through them. So make sure your site is secure. And the last one is build links. Now, we already talked quite a bit about this, so I spoiled it. But again, it's just building that credibility. If other people are talking well about you, it's going to elevate your business. It's going to elevate your credibility. And websites think of it the same way. So let's just go through these one last time. And you can always listen to this again if maybe you're doing this in the car and you're just getting acquainted with it. But these are the simple things. First, every word counts. Make sure you're using those titles. You're including your keywords in your paragraphs, and then in your metadata, how you're titling pictures, videos, and files that are associated with your content. 2, if you want to nerd out a little bit, do some keyword research, find out what words and phrases people are using with the keyword planner. 3, something a little more difficult on the scale. It takes time, but blogging does great things for your SEO. I would absolutely encourage it. Don't leave any dead pages, links, or posts. Make sure your website is fast. Secure your site with an SSL certificate and build links. So if you do these things, you will have a well-ranked site, and it is not easy, but it is simple. So if you need help with it, just go to marketingforspeakers.com. You can schedule an appointment or a free consultation with us, and we will absolutely help you out with these kind of things if you need it, or if you just have any questions or projects whatsoever about marketing for people in your industry of speaking, coaching, consulting, and us solopreneurs that have our own service business. So if this was helpful to you, let me know. Please leave a review for the podcast if you're enjoying it. We want to make sure this is an awesome resource for you and that it is impacting your business and also your bottom line and your impact in the world. So if you love this, please do me a favor. It helps people find us. Just leave a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.